Hey, hi everyone. Today we have Pedro. He's from UC Berkeley, California, and he will be sharing his journey with aspirant today. How are you doing, Pedro?
I'm doing really well. How about you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking, and thanks for taking your time and sharing your journey with the aspirants. So let us begin with your educational background. Tell us from where did you do your schooling and your bachelor's that you're pursuing right now in Berkeley.
Sure. So I am currently, I am a rising sophomore at UC Berkeley,
Mm-hmm.
and I study computer science, electrical engineering, computer sciences, and a business. And that's where I do my undergrad right now, and I don't know what my future will hold. I graduated high school less than 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
so that's where I am right now.
Okay. And tell our viewers what all universities you applied for, and was there a particular reason you chose this university over others who offered you admission?
Sure. So I applied to a variety of schools. UC Berkeley, obviously. I applied to UCLA, Stanford, Caltech, Columbia, Johns Hopkins, USC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think those are the main ones. And then I chose Berkeley over the rest really because of the program that I am studying. So I am very entrepreneurially minded and I want to follow entrepreneurship. And I think that this program at UC Berkeley that studies EECS and business is the best to be able to dive into both worlds.
Okay. And also, I want to know if your GPA or your, SAT plays more important role when it comes to getting admission from UC Berkeley.
Sure. So in particular, I think for Berkeley, GPA and the test scores, I think they matter more than some other schools, but I
Mm-hmm.
think they also matter less than other schools. I think it's highly dependent on which school you're looking at, in my opinion, and in a lot of other people's opinions too.
Mm-hmm.
Schools like Caltech really care about your GPA. They really care about your test scores, and they're very what's called stats heavy. Other
Okay.
schools like Stanford don't care as much, and they're
Mm-hmm.
known to take lower GPAs, lower test scores
Mm-hmm.
in cases where the student has shown really great aptitude in other fields.
Okay. And tell us about your SAT preparation. For how many months you prepared? Did you enroll into any online or classroom coaching?
Sure, so I took the ACT. I did
Mm-hmm.
not take the SAT, and
Mm-hmm.
I self-studied. I didn't take any classes, any professional help, I guess. I bought one book, the
Mm-hmm.
some ACT prep book, and I went through it. In maybe 2 weeks. I went through it, and then I took my test.
Okay. And was there a minimum cutoff that the university was entertaining when it comes to admission in Berkeley?
No, many the best United States colleges don't have
Okay.
minimums that they say. They might have it internally, no one really knows, but openly they do not.
Okay. And would you like to disclose your ACT scores to our viewers?
Sure, I got a 36.
Okay. And tell us about educational loan. Did you take any student loan? And if yes, from which bank and how was the process?
I did not take any student loans, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to pay the in-state tuition because I am from California, and so
Mm-hmm.
Berkeley in particular charges less for people that come from California than people who are out
Mm-hmm.
of state.
Okay. Tell us about the infrastructure and also the general campus environment inside the in at Berkeley.
Sure. So I really, really like the campus. I really like the people there, especially within the engineering schools, within my program, within the business schools. And I think there's a wide variety of people. It is a very big school, so you will find a lot of people of different kinds. And I tend to hang out with the people that I like, that are
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurial minded and just very high achieving and have really big dreams that it looks like they can accomplish.
Okay. And in terms of the general environment, is it very lively or is it like kind of studious? Like how are things on a daily basis?
Sure. So I think because it's so big, you can definitely find people of any
Mm-hmm.
environment. There's obviously people that go to frat houses and party. There's people that go to the libraries and study. There's people that go out to San Francisco and go see art museums or Golden Gate
Mm-hmm.
Bridge, more artistic types. And I think there's many, many, many groups that you can join.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are some type of way at Berkeley, especially being so big, you can find at least a few other people that are also the same way.
Okay. And is Berkeley famous for any particular program or sports activity?
In particular, Berkeley is famous for the computer science, for electrical engineering and computer science. A
Mm-hmm.
little less famous, but still famous about business. Um,
Okay.
we have a decently famous football team, but I don't think they're the best in their division.
Mm-hmm.
Not too well versed in the athletics portion, but we have produced Olympic medalists, also Nobel Prize winners, people of
Mm-hmm.
high caliber in their fields.
Okay. And tell us about the library and lab facilities inside the college campus.
Sure. So at Berkeley, especially, there's a lot of libraries. I think it's in the 20s, it might be 23, 26, something like that. But there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of them. And so you can go to a variety of libraries. And I typically frequent maybe 3 libraries. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you can choose, depending on the library, it's either louder or quieter, or individualized study rooms, or more group settings. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's definitely a place for you to go no matter how you study, if you want to study with friends, if you want to study alone. And for
Mm-hmm.
labs, there are classes that require labs. There are a lot of student labs, for example, labs with a lot of electronics equipment for electrical engineers to look at, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
chemical labs for chemical engineers to look at. There's
Mm-hmm.
also research labs, and those are more led by PIs, by professors, by people who recruit these undergrads and grads to do real research.
Mm-hmm.
And I am in a research lab, but I'm not well versed in all the labs. My lab in
Mm-hmm.
particular is in machine learning, so it's mostly just a lot of really fast computers. But
Mm-hmm.
maybe in mechanical engineering or other fields that require more heavy equipment, I've heard that
Mm-hmm.
Berkeley does have the latest equipment, and it's very easy to do your job.
Okay. And tell us about the gym and recreational facilities that university offers to its student.
Sure. So the gym is amazing. It's really nice. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of equipment, all the weights you want, all the treadmills you want. There's something like 30
Mm-hmm.
treadmills, 30 ellipticals, a lot of equipment for a lot of people. And so
Mm-hmm.
as a student, you get access to it whenever it's open, and it's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
fun. They have racquetball, basketball, badminton, any sport you want to play, you can play. And so
Mm-hmm.
that side of like the recreational facilities, they're really nice, really accessible, and you can play or work out whenever you want.
Okay. And tell us about the healthcare and medical facilities.
Sure. So I haven't been to a lot of the medical facilities. I know there's the Tang Center, which is the main center for health, and
Mm-hmm.
they provide a lot of services, some for free, some for charge, depending on if you're on insurance within the school or not. And
Mm-hmm.
so there's different plans, but
Mm-hmm.
the healthcare is definitely there.
Okay. And tell us about the career center and what kind of facilities do they help student when it comes to getting a potential job?
Sure. So I'm on the younger side of my career, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't know like getting a full-time job, but in terms of internships and stuff like that, I know the career fair does have very nice lists that you can look
Mm-hmm.
at with contacts that
Mm-hmm.
places that you can apply depending on your interest and depending
Mm-hmm.
on what school you're in, for example, engineering or business. The schools themselves also have their own career fair and their own career centers. So
Uh,
there's a lot of career centers.
okay. And tell us about, since you're talking about internship, tell us about if you had a chance to do internship with any firm.
Yeah, so I had an offer from Facebook to do an internship there. I declined
Mm-hmm.
it in favor of working on my own startup.
Okay. And also, is there any special restriction for international student when it comes to becoming eligible for internship?
Oh, I think that depends by the company. 'Cause I
Mm-hmm.
know big companies, Facebook, Google, they make it much easier, but smaller companies might just not have the legal resources to take in international students.
Okay. And let's talk about the housing. Do you stay on campus or off campus?
I stayed on campus my first year. This
Okay.
upcoming year, I think I'll be off campus.
So, how is life in dorm, if you can talk about that?
Sure. So dorm life, it's a lot of fun. You get to live really close to a lot of people that you come to really like, and they
Mm-hmm.
become a nice little friend group. I think in my floor there was something like 15 to 20 people, and you can talk
Mm-hmm.
to them frequently. You run into them all the time, and you, in terms of like facilities, you share bathrooms, you share showers, stuff like that, and
Mm-hmm.
it's to be expected for a college dorm. But
Mm-hmm.
the dorms are, they're on the smaller side from colleges that I've seen,
Mm-hmm.
but Berkeley's a big school. They need a lot of space.
Okay. And in terms of finding the right housing, do you have any suggestions for incoming student?
So as an incoming student, I definitely say you should live inside the dorms. Easiest way to
Mm-hmm.
make friends because you are living with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so um, there is a social aspect to the dorm. It's very easy to run into people, make friends, talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
After that, typically people move out into apartments, and that's on your own. Search for the apartment, find where you want to live, who you want to live with. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's a completely different process there.
Okay. And tell us about professors. Who is your favorite professor there, and what is that you really like most about the professor?
Sure. So first, generally, because I have to think about the favorite one. In
Mm-hmm.
general, professors are really, really, one, really, really accomplished. They're
Mm-hmm.
absolutely insane. Berkeley has some of the best professors in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and they have discovered things that you use every day. They invented things that make a lot of technology possible,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the professors really care about their students, so they explain things really well. They have office hours. You can go up to them whenever you want. I've definitely
Mm-hmm.
sought out resources from professors outside of my classes, so for my own personal projects,
Mm-hmm.
figure out some things that they have that I wanted, and they've been very supportive in getting me what I need. In terms of
Okay.
favorite professors,
Mm-hmm.
I really like the topic of security, so I have to go with David Wagner. He is one of
Okay.
the security professors at Berkeley, and he's done a lot in security, and I think his teaching style is great. Funny guy, and
Mm-hmm.
he really helps you understand security.
Okay. And tell us about the number of clubs and association on campus, and are you a part of any particular club which you can call your favorite?
Sure. So at Berkeley, there are a lot of clubs because there's a lot of people, there's a lot of clubs. And these
Mm-hmm.
clubs can be more recreational, like we have dance clubs, or they can be
Mm-hmm.
really, really academic and more
Mm-hmm.
professional, like machine learning at Berkeley. I'm part of machine
Mm-hmm.
learning at Berkeley. That's the
Mm-hmm.
only club that I'm a part of, and it's my favorite. I have a lot
Okay.
of fun there, a really good community of people who are really passionate about machine learning and can make real results out of machine learning.
Okay. And other than being a part of these clubs, what all students do for entertainment purpose?
Sure. So being in Berkeley, you're in the Bay Area. There
Mm-hmm.
is San Francisco and the BART.
Mm-hmm.
So people get on the BART, which is the Bay Area Rapid Transit. So people can
Mm-hmm.
go to San Francisco really easily, go see Golden Gate Bridge. There's a lot of things to do in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Nearby, Berkeley is it's a really nice city. There's a lot of small shops, karaoke bars, things like that that people can go to.
Okay. All right. And tell us in general about how many hours do a student study, do homework, and attend lecture in a day or in a week?
Sure. So I think on average, it's a good question. I think on average, a student
Uh,
might have 1 to 3 hours of lecture
mm-hmm.
and then about the same of homework. So
Okay.
do school for 6, 7 hours a day on average, maybe a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more to be honest, and then they can do what they want the rest of the time.
Okay. And how would you rate academic pressure and workload in your program on the scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest?
Sure. So in my program in particular, we're completing 2 degrees at the same time. So it
Mm-hmm.
is very a lot of things to do. We are completing 2 degrees, and so in terms of there's not much pressure, but there's a lot to
Mm-hmm.
do. And
Okay.
so I think pressure-wise, it's not that high, 5 in the middle, and then
Mm-hmm.
how much you have to do, a lot.
Okay, so workload is more compared to pressure. Okay, tell us if there is something you really like about the course structure or you don't like about it.
About the course structure?
Yeah.
Yeah, so especially in EECS classes, electrical engineering, computer sciences, there
Mm-hmm.
I really like the labs. So what they do is you go to lecture and you learn about a
Mm-hmm.
concept. For example, we were learning linear algebra and how it relates to matrices. And
Mm-hmm.
so then we went into lab and then we built a small projector and we figured out
Mm-hmm.
how to make masks that were
Mm-hmm.
that were matrices and use a lot of operations that we learned in class to actually make this projector project things.
Okay. And what is the tuition fee for your entire program? And other than tuition fee, what all expenses a student should keep in mind if they have plans to study in Berkeley?
Sure. So, in terms of in-state, if you come from California, it's going to be something about $35,000 a year. If you come out of
Hmm.
California, it's more like $60,000 a year. And
Okay.
then in terms of student expenses, you will need school supplies. I don't think that's too big of an expense. The more expensive thing is there's a lot of food here, a lot of food that you can
Hmm.
go buy, a lot of drinks that you can go get, and so you will find yourself just spending a little bit here, a little bit there on food one day, boba the next, and that really adds up over time. So I think you definitely want some spending money so you can go out with your friends and buy these things.
And the 35,000 that you said, does it include your stay at the dorm, or is it an extra expense that a student have to budget for?
That's a good question. It does include the dorm. So when
Okay.
you move out your second year, um,
Mm-hmm.
it comes out to I think $17,000 to $19,000 taken
Okay.
off because that's how
Mm-hmm.
much you pay for your dorm.
And the duration of your course is 4 years, right?
Yes.
Okay. And now let's talk about financial aid. Does the university provide any kind of merit-based or need-based scholarship to student?
Sure. So there is need-based aid,
Mm-hmm.
and that exists mostly in the form of grants and loans. In terms
Okay.
of merit-based aid, there is some, for example, the Regents and Chancellor's Scholarship, but it's a very small amounts, less
Mm-hmm.
than $3,000, and for very few people.
And is there a process that a student has to follow, or a criteria that a student has to meet in order to get any kind of need-based scholarship?
I think you have to apply for what's called a FAFSA,
Okay.
so a federal application for student aid, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
you fill out the form, fill out the CSS profile, which is College Board's version, send these
Mm-hmm.
documents to Berkeley, and they will decide how much they want to give you.
Okay. And what are your future plans, and how do you think the Career Center will help you achieve the goals when it comes to your, future?
Sure. So in my future, I think I want to be an entrepreneur. Right now, I'm
Mm-hmm.
spending a lot of time on my startup and trying to grow that. And that's not really with the Career Center, but it's mostly with the people in my program, the connections
Okay.
that I can make. Both my peers and also the board of my program, trying to get people that know bankers, know investors,
Mhm.
know engineers more in the field so that they can help me and I can help them and then grow a company that way.
So Berkeley do provide these kind of help to student in case they have some sort of bright idea which can change the way things are currently, right?
Yeah, there's a
Uh,
lot of things at Berkeley. Berkeley, in
okay.
terms of entrepreneurship, is one of the biggest schools for entrepreneurship, and there are so many
Mm-hmm.
opportunities to get some small amount of money to start an idea, and then once you
Mm-hmm.
get into needing more amounts of money, there's definitely people here who want to help and invest and lead you towards other investors and other people who might be interested in helping you.
Okay. And can you name some company that hires student from your program?
For full-time jobs or
Yeah,
internships?
for full-time jobs as well as for internship. As I believe that a lot of time the company with whom a student does intern, they hire them as a full-time, right?
Yeah, so in particular for my program, no one has graduated yet. So
Mm-hmm.
because it's a new program, but in terms of full-time job for the general of Berkeley, they go to
Mm-hmm.
all types of places. For big names, obviously there's Google, Facebook, Apple, Amazon. They go there
Mm-hmm.
very frequently. In fact, I think Berkeley is the world's number one source for employees at those big companies because we have
Mm-hmm.
a lot of talented people. And in terms of my program in particular, I know
Mm-hmm.
freshmen and sophomores that have internships at those places, Facebook, Apple, Google.
Okay. And as you told us that you're gonna do your internship with Facebook, so what are you gonna work on if you can talk about that, Pedro?
Okay, I declined that internship. So I had
Okay.
the offer and I said
Uh-huh.
no. So,
Okay.
but what I would have worked on, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not entirely sure, but in the past I've worked at another big company and I worked on
Mm-hmm.
security there. So understanding
Okay.
cryptography.
All right. Now, tell us about a mistake that you or your friends would have made that you absolutely want future students to avoid in case if they want to come to Berkeley.
Okay. I think a lot of people don't talk to professors because one, it's a big class, and two, people are
Mm-hmm.
scared because these professors are very, very smart. But that is absolutely a mistake. You should go talk to your professors. They have connections that you have no idea about. They have insight and knowledge that you don't have. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's really, really good to go talk to your professors at office hours after class, connect with them
Mm-hmm.
on LinkedIn or other type of media, and that will help you just one, understand the class content better,
Mm-hmm.
two, get you better letters of recommendation for graduate school if that's your plan, and three, it can help you with starting a company, getting ideas, and working with professors.
Okay. And other than this, do you have any advice for a student in case it could be related to the curriculum or, in general?
Sure. So I think a lot of students underestimate themselves. I think a
Mm-hmm.
lot of students take it really easy their first semester because they're scared, because they're going into
Mm-hmm.
this new environment and they're scared of what might happen, so they
Mm-hmm.
don't take as many classes as they maybe can, or
Okay.
plunge themselves into as many extracurriculars or groups as they possibly can. And I think
Mm-hmm.
it's a very good idea to actually dive in head first into your first semester. Take
Mm-hmm.
challenging classes that you enjoy, join challenging groups that you enjoy, and you will have a good time. You will be challenged, but you will grow.
Okay, so this was really helpful, Pedro. I appreciate your time, and I want to tell our viewers that Pedro is one of our expert on the platform. You can connect with him, ask him the question, and if needed, you can also hire him as your mentor. And in case if you need any kind of guidance. And I really appreciate your time, Pedro. You have a good night and stay safe.
Absolutely. Thank you. You as well.
You too. Bye bye.